Workshop. I'm your host and instructor, Erica Guajardo, and today we're going to be creating a Thanksgiving wreath. So, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about our supplies that we're going to need. We have a 12-inch styrofoam ring, but if you don't have that, then anything could do, such as possibly a pool noodle. There are tons of Pinterest tutorials where they teach you how to create a pool noodle, and you basically bring it to a circle, cut it in a diagonal, then tape it together so that it fits. Then you have a ring that you can create this exact tutorial with. If you don't have that, then any type of circular object that you can hang will do. Once you have your ring, then you want to make sure that you have 2 styrofoam balls, which you're going to paint eyeballs on. You need a styrofoam cone or something of this shape. We painted ours orange. You need some duct tape, taffeta, a string for hanging, and a hot glue gun and glue sticks. Before we start putting things together here, I'm going to show you how we painted our eyeballs and cone. Then in step 2, we'll come back here and we'll start putting items together once our painting products have dried. So if you're ready to get started, so am I. One of the things that you want to do before assembling your Thanksgiving wreath is paint your parts that need time to dry. For this tutorial, we're going to need to paint the cone or the beak orange, and we're going to need to put 2 dots in the center of these styrofoam balls. We're going to start with a styrofoam ball first, and I have a recycled egg carton to help us out. These are round, so they're going to roll them around. So instead of trying to chase them all over town, we're just going to put them on top. Adding color to the styrofoam balls is not going to be hard at all. You're just going to grab your paint area and apply. You can even rotate with your hand. Since it is a little thick, you want to allow up to half a day to dry, if not more. Before you paint, you want to put a little piece of paper underneath, just so that we're neat. Remember that some styrofoam likes acrylic paint, some styrofoam does not. This is a smooth surface, so it should adhere pretty well, or this is a rough surface and it would not take very well. Since we're only going to use one color, I'm just going to directly apply some paint onto the surface of our cone. Remember to allow that to dry before moving on to the next step. Welcome back. So, now that we have all of our items painted and they're dry, ours took about 24 hours to dry because of how we painted the eyeballs. You see, there are 2 different types of styrofoam. There's one that has more of a smooth surface and almost a waxy feeling. This is going to be easier on paint because it'll dry faster and it's not as porous. Where these are more porous, they have like more of a cell-like quality to them where all the paint is going to get sucked in as it begins to dry. Sometimes this is harder to paint because of the surface, and the surface tends to have a more speckled appearance unless you apply the paint very thickly. Remember that you do not ever want to apply any spray paint to Styrofoam because it will melt the Styrofoam and start to eat it away. Acrylic paint is the paint that you want to use while working with Styrofoam. So because Styrofoam can be a little bit finicky sometimes, what we're going to do is use our duct tape as a way to get color onto the ring, but not have to paint. This duct tape is about 5 yards worth, and what we're going to do is wrap it around. You could wrap the ring with any thickness of duct tape, and honestly, the wider the duct tape is, the better, because it's going to cover more surface. Okay, so now that we have our ring partially wrapped with duct tape, and remember that this duct tape can be any color just as long as it applies to the holiday that you are creating for. Since we are creating for the holiday of Thanksgiving, we chose orange. Other options could be red, brown, yellow, gold, or any other pattern or color that you choose. The next step that we're going to be doing is applying taffeta across the top of this. This taffeta can actually be purchased at any craft store, such as Michael's, Hobby Lobby, or even Walmart. It's sold by the spool and can cover the entire wreath. We just have a portion of the spool due to us creating crafts kits for you guys. I have about 3 feet per color, and we're going to cut these into smaller sections. The best way to cut is to fold it in half, then fold it in half again, and start here. This should give you about 4 pieces. We might cut it just a little bit smaller, but let's measure first. So now that we have 4 pieces, we're going to leave the other 3. So we're going to grab one. We're going to kind of put it in a U shape so that it's hanging. Grab the ends. Put your hand through the other part. Grab your ring and pull the 2 ends through the other area. Once you get it around, you should have something that looks like this. Here, you can either trim it or you can leave it as is and tie a knot. So kind of keep it in place, and we're just going to go all the way around with different colors, alternating the colors as we go. If you don't like how long this is, you can either cut it down a little bit and it'll give it a little bit more frilly type of look, or you could keep it long and then as the wind comes, it'll kind of sway in the wind. Whatever's up to you. With the hot glue gun, you're just going to want to locate the bottom of the eyeball, styrofoam ball, and put a small but hefty size of amount of glue, like so. Then locate an area where the eyeball will be looking at you. Don't forget to repeat for the second eyeball. Allow that to dry, and then once it is dry, apply glue to the bottom surface of the orange cone-shaped styrofoam, which we're going to use as a beak. And that's how you create a Thanksgiving wreath. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to our virtual programming this year. As we close the year, we will be taking a small break and then returning during 2021. I want to make sure that all of y'all are safe and to remind you that we have a new website for you to visit at www.mesquiteartscenter.org, and this is where you can find our newest additions to our programming. Until we see each other again, stay safe.